combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Looking for more options to rock your home? Voted best in KC, Rock Tops now has 2 locations to better serve you. Come visit their award-winning showroom in Olathe or the new location in Lee Summit. Making homes look incredible is kind of their thing. Rock Tops designs, fabricates, and installs stone countertops in Kansas City and the surrounding areas. Visit their new location in Lee Summit and mention 810 Rocks to get 10% off your countertops. Details and restrictions apply. Visit rocktopskc.com. Rock your home with Rock Tops.
I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO of Central Bank of the Midwest, where our employees continue to rate us as an incredible place to work because of our culture and commitment to our people. We believe that the legendary service we provide our customers is only possible when we provide that same legendary experience to our team. Learn more about working with Central Bank by visiting centralbank.net/careers. Central Bank, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Todd Surprise running the show for us here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Covell running the show back at Sports Radio 810. My partner, Kirk Elliott, for the last 23 years. And, Kirk, did you have a good Christmas?
Had a great Christmas. I spent 10 days in Iowa.
10 days in Iowa?
Yeah, up at the
farm.
I spent a whole 10 days on the farm up there, so it was cool.
Yeah.
Got out of the city and went to the country.
Went to the country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So how about you?
It was kind of a maybe a little bit of a lackluster. I went over to my ex-wife's house. Deidre and I went over there.
Yeah.
And, we always go over there to Sharon's house.
Absolutely.
Right. And we'll hang out with the kids, and it was a good time. We had a good time over there. That was definitely for sure.
That's the first vacation that you and I have probably ever taken.
Right? I don't remember us ever taking 2 weeks off. Do you?
Not since I've been with the Racing Boys that you guys have. I mean,
right.
It was usually this time of the year was our busiest time of the year. We were getting ready for the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl. We live streamed it all those years, but since we're not doing that anymore, and we're just fans pretty much of the Shootout and Chili Bowl now, so we don't have to get ready for that. So we decided, hey, you know what? We've been working hard this year. Let's take a couple of weeks off.
Right.
So we did.
No doubt.
And I'm recharged now more than I've ever been. How about you?
I'm kind of recharged as well.
Yeah.
But we want to start off by talking about Keith Honeycutt passing away at the age of 89 years old.
Yeah, and it's very sad news. Earlier this week, Keith Honeycutt. I looked at her as the heart and soul of Kansas City racing in a lot of ways.
Bud Honeycutt's wife.
She was the wife of 73 years. Bud Honeycutt, dear friend of ours. You and I had every intention of making it out to the funeral yesterday, but we had some equipment issues we had to get resolved here at Racing Boys, so we weren't able to make it out there. But, Bud, if you're listening, we're thinking about you.
No doubt, Bud.
And, Keith, just a wonderful lady, and she will be missed. Services yesterday, 73 years they were together.
Man, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
73 years together as a married couple.
And Bud Honeycutt is one of the top race historians we've ever seen in Kansas City. He came out with a book many years ago, Up on the Wheel, and it's a coffee table book that we still have right now.
Right.
It's a great book of the history of Kansas City racing, and Bud and Keith were just two of the greatest friends Kansas City racing has ever had, and we'll miss Keith for sure.
And there's a couple other people that passed away. Rick Ferkel at the age of 84, and Cale Yarborough, Cale Yarborough was maybe my favorite stock car driver of all time, other than Tim Richmond. Tim Richmond was my favorite, to be honest with you. But Cale Yarborough was one of the top 2 or 3 drivers in NASCAR that was my favorite driver.
You liked his style.
I liked his style. I liked his demeanor. I loved his demeanor and the way he approached racing. He never took it easy in a race car. He always drove it as hard as he could.
He was like the opposite of David Pearson, was he not?
Right.
Pearson would be the kind of guy that would just, you wouldn't see him all day long, and then all of a sudden, right at the end of the race, there
Cale Yarborough would be right
there. Cale
there.
Yarborough was not like that.
Right.
He was all hammered down, and of course, when he and Donnie got in that fight at Daytona in 1979, that's
right.
One thing we'll all remember.
That was the year that put NASCAR on the map, wasn't it, Kurt?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was.
The first flag-to-flag coverage of a race. Ken Squire was the announcer, who we lost here just a few weeks back as well. But Cale Yarborough, certainly one of the all-time great NASCAR drivers, won a ton of races. I think he won like 4 Daytona 500s. He was the all-time Southern 500 winner at Darlington. He was from South Carolina, and he was so good at Darlington and other racetracks.
And we don't want to leave Rick Ferkel out, because he was one of the all-time great sprint car drivers.
And a great guy, too.
Yeah.
Rick Ferkel, I remember growing up, going to Knoxville. Rick Ferkel would always be at the Knoxville Nationals with that number 0
What
car.
year was that?
Back in the early mid-70s. I mean, he was there
every week.
As long as I could remember. Not every week. He would come out, certainly for the Nationals, and he would travel to all the big shows. But, we talked about Ray Lee Goodwin being so great with the race fans and so popular. Rick Ferkel was like that. He was he gave a clinic on just how to treat race fans, and what an inspiration he was to all of the great race car drivers out of the state of Ohio. They called him the Ohio Traveler. But after his driving career,
I've got one of his T-shirts, Kurt.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that famous number 0 car.
Right.
But he was just an all-time great racer from out of the state of Ohio, who inspired a lot of racers, certainly out of the state of Ohio. He was a official, I think he was a World of Outlaws official for a while after he got out of the seat. But just a very popular guy, and will be missed.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Hall of Famer, too, by the way. National Sprint Car Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Was Cale Yarborough in the Hall of Fame?
He's in the NASCAR Hall of Fame,
yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 great racers and a great lady we've lost here in the last several days, so sad time.
Just a news note that came down the pipe here just recently. ASCS, the national tour, is not going to be going to Cocopah or Casa Grande this year. They've already taken it off the schedule.
They had planned on going out there later this month, right?
Right, yeah.
So, couldn't get enough drivers to commit to head out that way? Or
no, from what I've heard, I heard that they were going to charge the racetracks. They were going to charge them for a point race, and it wasn't a point race. And they just, I don't think that they think enough drivers is going to come out there to that race. I first of all, I've said this all along, Kirk, that Cocopah is such a long run to get out there to Casa Grande and Cocopah Speedway that I don't think a lot of teams really wanted to travel out there.
Didn't have that in their budget per se.
Right.
Well, I applauded Terry Maddox for paring down the schedule a couple of years ago.
Right.
Trying to get that to where you could attract more guys that want to travel the whole ASCS National Series. I think that was a good move on his part. Cut out that trip to the Pacific Northwest that cost an enormous amount of money for the race teams to travel out there. So get that scheduled to where you can really attract a good group of cars and not really have to pay a fortune for expenses to go to all these races. That philosophy I agree with. So I think, I don't think it's necessarily that bad of a thing that they're not going out to Kokomo Speedway. I think it's probably going to help secure a good group of drivers for the entire national tour season for the ASCS.
No, I agree with you there, Kirk, 100%. And the first race is going to be at South Texas Race Ranch. I'm not sure where that's at. Do you? I've never heard of that racetrack. I've never been there.
South Texas.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be on March 1st. That's going to be their first race. And then Hunt County Raceway is going to be their second race. And Kennedale is going to be their third race. So
some new venues on the docket.
Yeah. Which is good. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
They're going to go to RPM Speedway as well this year.
That used to be the Edwards racetrack. Do they still promote that?
They did. No, they don't promote it anymore. I think they handed it off to somebody else.
But that was one of their racetracks, including Lawton and Devil's Bowl Speedway for a number of years. So, it's a good schedule that they've got set up for the ASCS National Tour. That South Texas Race Ranch is in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is about as far south in Texas as you can get.
You can't get any farther south than that.
So.
Right, yeah.
So.
And also on April 13th, they're going to be at Nevada Speedway. Did you see that, Kurt? They're going to be at Nevada?
Yeah, how about that? Good old Nevada Speedway. That's an old school racetrack.
That racetrack has been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it looks it too.
It does. It does.
We love Nevada
It's got a little
Speedway.
vintage look to it, right?
Did you watch the shootout last Sunday night?
I did. And we got a great show lined up for you today, folks. We've got Blake Hahn, who's going to join us here at 8:20. He won the non-wing outlaw race. And Frank Flood won, what class did he win?
The stock non-wing class.
Right.
Which I thought was the best race of the night. It was the first race out. And it looked like Ricky Thornton Jr. was going to be the guy, but
he blew up.
Yeah. And Frank Flood was right there to do it. And, boy, we've got a couple of old mainstays at the Tulsa Shootout. Probably the all-time winningest drivers, would you say, at the Tulsa Shootout, Blake Hahn.
Blake Hahn has won
Frank Flood.
Blake Hahn has won 9 drillers. Can you believe that? He's won 9.
And Frank Flood's won his share of them, too.
Yeah. I don't think he's won 9, though.
No, he's got 5.
5.
Golden drillers.
Right.
So it'll be fun to talk to Frank.
So Frank Flood's trying to catch Blake Hahn right now.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
And congratulations to the other winners. Emerson Axum won the nightcap, the 55-lapper, the winged outlaw class. Congratulations to Wyatt Miller, who is from the Earnhardt family. He's J.W. Miller and Kelly Earnhardt's son. And Dale Jr.'s nephew? He won a golden driller, winning the non-wing, the restricted class at the Tulsa Shootout. Ashton Torgerson. Now, this is probably the greatest story of all. If you remember last January, Ashton Torgerson
got ejected out of his car.
Oh, it was an awful accident. We were there. We witnessed that. And, Scott, I got to be honest with you. I got up and walked out. And it's a miracle that Ashton Torgerson survived that incident, getting ejected from the race car. He comes back 3 days later, does a press conference at the Chili Bowl.
Right.
And now, later in 2023 in December,
he wins.
On the last day of the year, he wins a Golden Driller.
Yeah.
I mean, that's from almost tragedy to triumph in 1 year. That's Ashton Torgeson's story.
And we're going to have him on Monday, right? Exactly.
We'll have him on and talk about it.
Right.
So Ashton Torgeson, he's locked and loaded and ready to go again at the Chili Bowl after what happened last year. And I think it's a great story, a personal triumph after I don't think anybody in that building that night thought he was going to survive that.
Hey, listen. Were you surprised that Flo never touched on that the subject of that him getting ejected out of that car?
I didn't hear him talk about it much at the end of it, but to me it's a great story.
Yeah.
And, it happened. It's an awful thing that happened.
Right.
And we're not going to get into pointing fingers of why it happened or whoever. I'm not going to get into that because I really don't know, and I don't think anybody really knows how it happened. But the belts came loose, and he got out, and he got thrown out of the car.
He got thrown out of the car, and he was lucky he didn't get run over.
But a great testament to the emergency crews at the track and the hospital there in Tulsa that he was able to walk out of that hospital 3 days later, and come back to the venue, and they honored him at the Chili Bowl before the features that Saturday night, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
that was a great deal that they had right before the A-Mains on Saturday night when Ashton was up there. I tell you what, it was quiet in there, and it was not a dry eye in the house. Right. They were talking with Ashton Torgeson that night, before the A-Mains. I think it's one of the big moments of the Chili Bowl that I can ever remember.
But were you shocked that they never once mentioned a word about it on the Flo broadcast?
Well, and I don't know if they didn't. I didn't watch the entire broadcast, but immediately after he won the race, and of course Scotty did the post-race interview on stage.
Scotty brought it up,
and
though,
he
didn't
brought
he?
it up, but none of the others really talked about it that much. So I was kind of surprised about that. But hey, it's a great story that a miracle happened in my mind.
Yeah.
That Ashton Torgeson was able to not only survive that wreck, but then come back and win a driller.
Right,
at the end of that same year.
Right, no doubt.
So we'll be anxious to get him on Monday on Mostly Motorsports, talk about it.
Yeah, Ashton is going to be on with us on Monday on Mostly Motorsports. Again, who else are we going to have on Monday?
We got Scotty Cook on to
Scotty
preview.
Cook, yeah,
and then we're working on another guest right now too. So we haven't got that lined up.
Right. Emerson Axum. What do you think about it?
We efforted trying to get Emerson on, but
he doesn't want to be on the show.
He doesn't want to do it, so we'll shoot for somebody else.
Right.
There's 370 drivers at the Chili Bowl this year, so we'll find enough people to talk to.
What is the record for the Chili Bowl? Do you know that number?
That is a good question. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
That seems like a record, doesn't it?
It does. It seems like it's right there by the record.
They had 1,700 plus entries at the Tulsa Shootout. What's that? That was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not 1,700 drivers. That's entries. So a lot of those drivers ran
more than one
sometimes 4 classes.
Yeah, no doubt.
So big numbers in Tulsa for both the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl.
Cannot wait. And I think that both of us are going to go down on Monday because it's supposed to snow on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, as soon as we get done doing our show, we'll head on down that way.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at, we'll get into some of the entries a little bit later on, but they've got on chilibowl.com the breakdown of where the drivers line up on each night. You know, with 370 entries, they split them up into 5 qualifying nights, Monday through Friday. And they've got the breakdown of who races on what night. And we'll get into who some of the big stars are and what night they'll be running in a little bit later on.
Who do you think is going to win this year, Kurt?
Oh, that is a big question. I think this is a more open question than we've seen ever, probably at the Chili Bowl. Last year, Logan Seavey won. Big story, winning in Kevin Swindell's race car. Can he do it again? Certainly he can. Justin Grant still looking for his first ever Chili Bowl victory. He's the one guy out there that
I
you
think
would think
that he's
that
got
would
the
be
best
getting
chance.
close. He won the BC 39 last year in Indianapolis, so he would be one that would top the list. The other former champ, there's only two other former champions that are running. Tanner Thorson, who won a couple of years ago, is racing. And Sammy Swindell, the great Sammy Swindell, 5-time Chili Bowl winner. He's going to give it another go.
I'm going to be pulling for Blake Hahn.
There
just
you
so
go.
you know.
So there's a lot of great drivers, and like I say, we'll get into who's racing on what night. We know that Justin Grant will be on Friday night.
Right.
He always races on Friday night. And Logan Seavey will be racing on Friday night as well. Blake Hahn is racing on Wednesday night.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. And we're going to have Blake Hahn on with us when we come back right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
WHB Kansas City.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Paid for, simulated client portrayal.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. When you call my law firm after your car wreck, you're our #1 priority.
I got hurt in a car wreck, and dealing with the insurance company was awful. My boss suggested I call Mike and his team. They took the burden off my shoulders and made me feel like I was their #1 priority.
Call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The NFL playoffs are coming to Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Lamar Jackson fakes the toss to the right, throws across the middle, touchdown!
Purdy with time, throws over the middle, it's McCaffrey for the touchdown.
Touchdown, Tyreek Hill.
Touchdown! Kelsey down the near sideline.
Your home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 58. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Family Leisure's After Christmas clearance sale is here. Family Leisure has the best prices of the year on closeout, scratch and dent, and overstock products, and bonus deals for you if you mention 810. Pool tables, foosball, air hockey, bars and bar stools reduced by up to 70%. Hot tubs, tanning beds, and home theater seating at their best prices. Family Leisure has the best products, best selection, and best prices guaranteed. Take advantage of the special 810 deals while they last. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Covell running the show back for us at Sports Radio 810 WHB, and Todd Surprise running the show for us here at RBN, the Race Boys Broadcasting Network. And joining us now on the show, he was the winner of the Outlaw Non-Wing micro race down at the Tulsa Shootout. Blake Hahn joins us now. Hey, Blake, how you doing, bud?
Oh, pretty good. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing pretty good, man. Man, that was a thrilling victory, wasn't it?
It was. It was pretty exciting. Well, I'll be honest with you. In our practice session, we went out with the wing car and the non-wing car, and I felt just a little bit better than the wing car. So we had a lot of work to be done, and I just didn't think that the non-wing car was the car we had a chance in. And by the time it was all said and done, we were much faster with the non-wing car than we were the wing. So that just goes to show the work that Dalton put in. But yeah, man, we had a really good car, and it was a fun race for us.
I got to mention Dalton Siegler. He's like your best friend and a guy that you've traveled with for many years now, hadn't he?
Oh yeah, I've been lucky to have him with me. It's kind of a unique situation where me and Dalton grew up racing together, so we kind of know each other pretty well, and we created a friendship along the way. And then once I moved to sprint cars, he kind of stepped back from racing the micro and was able to move with us and go travel. So pretty much since we've been 18, we've been working on sprint cars with each other full time.
Hey, Blake, congratulations on that win. Just talk about how you were able to get the lead on Thomas Koonsman there. You were trying to work the low side of the racetrack. Did you change tactics?
I think he led about 13 laps, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, well, at the shootout, it's moving around is really technical, and the track changes a lot. So that's something that you have to keep your eyes on. And for me, being on the second row, I was kind of sitting in a really good spot. I knew Tommy was really fast and had a really good car, and I knew the track was going to kind of migrate off the bottom. They worked the track pretty good before our A feature, and it kind of made the bottom a little dominant there for about the first 10 laps. And I just knew that I couldn't move off of the bottom too soon, but I knew I also couldn't toy around on the bottom too long. So for me, it was a fine line of knowing exactly when to move up. And, I feel like I had a car that was just a little bit better on the top. So I was kind of ready to jump up to the top whenever the track moved. So I was kind of in my head, as a racer, the way when to move is when the track starts to blow off. So when we're rolling around the bottom, we're carrying a lot of momentum the first few laps. The track's pretty heavy.
Right.
And then you start noticing it get a little drier off the exit, and then you slip a tire off the exit and lose a little bit of speed. And lap after lap, you start noticing you're losing some more speed off exit, and you're thinking, okay, maybe now is the time I need to move. So you got to keep that in the back of your head. And then one thing unique about the shootout is you've got a back straightaway full of crew guys that are only about three feet away from the back straightaway wall. So on about lap 10, I glanced down the back straightaway, and there's about 8 or so guys got their hats off, slinging it up around. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to get up top. So I couldn't decide if it was my crew guy that was doing it or not, because there were so many guys around each other just flailing their arms. So I just knew if there was that many people saying to get to the top, that it was time to go. So we kind of moved up to the top around lap 10 or 12, and like I was saying, my car was really good on the top. So I was just honestly letting her eat and just carrying as much momentum as I could, and hoping Tommy wouldn't move up in front of me. And about lap 13, down the back straightaway, I think he heard us up there, and he made the move to go to the top. And I kind of poked under a little bit, and going through 3 and 4, I could tell at that point when he went to the top for the first time that his car was not near as good as mine was on the top. So that right there just gave me a boost of confidence, and I thought the game was on. But we had a caution there, and kind of reset us, and went single file and kind of calmed us down. So I had some time to think on how to operate that thing, and just trying to get a good restart so I can get around Tommy and try to get by him and get some good laps in. And we were able to slide him on that restart, and at that point I just knew I had to get to the top and just hit my marks and not make any mistakes as the cushion began to grow a little bit bigger and bigger throughout that race.
9 golden drillers,
man,
at the shootout. Man, that's the all-time. How's that make you feel?
It's pretty cool. It's really unique, but it's awesome. So like for me, being able to pick up a micro driller this year meant a lot. Having 9 or 8 before this was awesome, and it's something that we're really, really proud of. But, I wanted to remind people that we're still a contender in the micro. People think that just because I have drillers with a midget or a 600 modified, maybe that they don't count. But, we're still a contender, and we're still there, and we have a car that can compete every time we go there. So it's a good feeling knowing that we're as fast as these guys that get to run them throughout the year. And it just goes to show that when 10J brings good cars, that stuff can be done.
Hey, and just so we know, you were wearing the Racing Boys fire suit, and those fire suits have brought you a lot of luck over the years, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, it seems like every time I'm in Victory Lane, I have one of them on, so I don't know what it is about them, but it definitely adds something for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which means you'll have it on Wednesday night when you take the midget out there, right?
I don't know if I need to save it for Saturday.
Right, you might want to save it for Saturday.
You want to wear it. Yeah,
no
that's
doubt.
right.
Hey, Blake, let me ask you a little bit about what you're going to be doing in the midget this year. Who are you going to be driving for?
It's our family-owned car. It's my grandpa. We have our Bullet by Spike with the Toyota engine in it, and we only get to run this thing a few times a year. But it's a top contender anytime we get to go inside the expo. I feel like we have a better year this year than ever. So I think if we can just have a good preliminary night, we'll have a good chance. But yeah, it's good. So basically, we have our sprint car operation that we run year round, and me and Dalton have our midget sitting there that we get to run a couple times a year, and we got some top-notch equipment with some top-notch sponsors and backers helping us. And, luckily for us, we get to have some fun during the Chili Bowl with a really top-notch car that's ours.
Yeah, so have you made your plans for your sprint car this year? Have you decided what you're going to do? Are you going to try to do some high-limit races?
There's a lot of stuff going on around us, and in early March and April, there's a lot of racing down here with the World of Outlaws, and some high limit too. But yeah, we won't be doing a lot of high limit racing this year. We'll maybe touch a couple of them throughout when they're around, but we're thinking we're going to try to run the Power Eye schedule up in Missouri. They've got a 30 race schedule put together, and it seems to work with ours pretty well. So we can run 30 races with them, and then still buzz around a little bit and run some other stuff. So. Maybe we'll run for a championship this year, but we'll see how it goes and see how everything plans out. But right now, there's just a lot of sprint car racing around in our region, and we're lucky enough to be able to just enjoy ourselves and just go have some fun racing.
Hey, let me ask you this, and I've been saying this on this show for some time now. I'm a little conflicted between the World of Outlaws and the High Limit Series. I'm afraid that because 410 racing was making a little bit of a comeback, right? And wouldn't you agree with me that they're making a little bit of a comeback? And then all of a sudden they're running the High Limit Series with the World of Outlaws. They've got 16 drivers that are going to go over there and run with the High Limit Series. I don't know what's going on in 410 racing, but I'm afraid it's going to fracture 410 racing a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, I haven't been around when there's been the series trying to compete with the Outlaws. So I am curious to see how it goes. The All-Stars have been around for a long time, but it seemed to me like they kind of worked hand in hand together rather trying to go against each other. So yeah, it's a curious time in racing. For the traveling guy that gets to race, it's a wonderful time to be alive and be able to go race. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of money up for grabs, and it just makes you appreciate all the sponsors and partners that our sport has, and it just kind of makes you wonder where it'll go. So this year definitely will be interesting, and only time will tell. So be curious how these two series handle both themselves after this year.
You say you're going to run the full Power Eye 410 series this year. You're still going to head out to Eldora and Huset's and check out some of the big events in sprint car racing like you did last year?
Yeah, we will for sure. We'll try to keep those on our schedule, but if there's any conflicts, we'll just kind of play it by ear. We like what Kenny's doing with that series up there. It seems like he's putting some good money towards these guys, and for us, we don't have to travel too far to race our 410, and honestly, that's the best part about it. So we just look forward to getting some more lap time, whether it be with Power Eye or with the World of Outlaws. So. As of now, we think we should be able to run about 20 races with the World of Outlaws and then about another 30 with Power Eye with a bunch more mixed in there. So we should have a pretty good schedule and hopefully just do a lot more learning along the way.
Hey, Blake, I think you got a serious chance of winning that championship over there in Power Eye because there's a lot of guys that are run over there, but I'm not sure they're up for Blake Hahn running with the series as well, and I think that you got a really good chance of winning that championship. And those races pay $5,000 to win, don't they?
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. Like I said, we don't have to travel far, and they're paying good money. So I get to race against some really good competitors that travel and race against the best, just like I do. So it seems like it'll fit perfectly for us. And some of those tracks I'm really familiar with, so I look forward to running my 410 at a bunch of those tracks.
Right.
You and Ayrton Geniton ought to have pretty good battle for that championship this year. So
no doubt.
That looks pretty good. Getting back to Tulsa this week, what did you learn about the racetrack, winning that race on Sunday night that you can take in to your efforts in the midget on Wednesday night?
Just being in the building and just getting that muscle memory of going around the track just helps. But, I really kept an eye on the track surface. It seemed to be really, really good this year. They gave us a really good track for the A feature on Sunday. And, if it's anything like that on a preliminary night, there'll be some really good racing. And anytime there's a good curb to lean on with the midget, it seems to produce some good racing. So, I guess got to tell myself to be patient, hit my marks, and hopefully we'll be there when it's all said and done.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm glad that you're going to be driving the family-owned car, and I know it's Toyota powered. And listen, they make a lot of power, don't they? The Toyota.
Yeah, absolutely. With the midget racing these days, you got to have a top-notch engine, top-notch car anytime you touch the track. And in my opinion, I think Toyota is the best you can get. Obviously, there's competitors with the SR11, but in my opinion, I think this is the best as it gets. And to win the Chili Bowl, I think that's what it takes.
370 entries. Just what is the biggest challenge of putting yourself in a great position to be there on Saturday night? Is it the early races, the heats, the qualifiers? Just what do you got to think about on the preliminary night to put yourself in great position for Saturday?
Well, you gotta have a little bit of luck in all those races. You gotta be on point every time you touch the track, and that's the thing about Chili Bowl. Yeah, you can be good and have some luck, but you have to be really good and be on point every single race to be at the end come Saturday. So, for me, it all starts it all starts in hot laps. You got to go out there and get your car really dialed in because you're coming out to run the most important laps of the whole week in the heat race. So, you got to have a good car for hot laps and got to feel comfortable. And then once you come back out for the heat race, if you get a good draw, start a couple of rows back where you can get some good passing points and try to pass a few cars in that race. And you can always guarantee there's going to be some beating and banging in the heat race with some cars. Doesn't matter who's in it or not. So you just got to be patiently aggressive there. That's what we were kind of talking about after the shootout. It's weird because you tell yourself you need to be more aggressive inside that building, but being more aggressive can get you in trouble really quickly too. So, it's just a fine line of being patiently aggressive and, pushing the issue when you need to and then kind of letting it go when you need to too. So, getting through that heat race safely and by picking off a few cars is where it all starts. So if you can get that under your belt, get a little bit of confidence and have a real fast car after the heat race and then, go into the qualifier and basically do the same thing over again. And once you're in the prelim on your preliminary night, A feature, you can kind of relax a little bit and just know that you have to hit your marks and just try to get the podium. That's the main goal at that point.
How do you pay attention to such the biggest race, the biggest indoor race of the year, the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals? How do you keep yourself calm and collected?
It's tough. I'm sure everybody's different. For me, myself, I just try to focus. I just try to pay attention to what I got task on hand and just try to just do the best as I can. At the end of the day, all you can do is go out there and just drive as hard as you possibly can every lap and give it your all. And, if you got a car to compete for the win, you got a car to compete for the win. And if not, you just get what you can get. But, really, I just inside that building, the nerves go up for sure. So I just try to focus. Personally, I just sit there and watch a lot of races. I try to keep an eye on the track, an eye on how the competitors are racing the track. And that just kind of helps me just be aware of my situation on the track and, just be by myself and in my head and thinking by myself is just kind of what I like to do.
You are the best at being calm, cool, and collective. I've been watching you for years, and you are the very best at staying that way.
Yeah, I try to. My nerves eat me up on the inside. I just try to tell myself it'll all be fine once we get going, and it is. I'm sure you ask any racer, their nerves get going before, and once the engines fire off, it's all said and done, and you're all fine and you're relaxed. But leading up to that, I do get nervous, but I think if I didn't have nerves, I wouldn't enjoy doing this as much as I do.
Right.
You're going to be hitting the track tomorrow, all-day practice session. How important is that Sunday practice?
This year it's going to be more important than ever. So we've got a few different tire rules this year, which I think is a wonderful decision from the Chili Bowl. They have a little bit stiffer tires on the rear, and that'll change the setup a little bit for these guys. You know, you've got guys that come here year after year after year and have great cars, and they can lean on that notebook. So this will change it up a little bit. So, you know, tomorrow will be very important for a lot of guys trying to dial that car into the tires and see if they can still have the same speed they normally do.
What do you have? You have two opportunities to get out on the track yesterday. How many times do you hot lap tomorrow?
Yep, we'll get to. So we'll run through the lineup once, and then they'll flip-flop, and then we'll go through it again. So there's two opportunities to touch the track, and typically on practice night, you'll either get a tacky track and a dry track, or a dry track and then a tacky track after. So it really works out well. You know, you can try some stuff both times you go out there and see if you can get the car better.
Well, you talk about the tire and the hardness of that tire. What do you have to do different to your car to make that tire work?
Well, you know, when you have a softer tire, the tire's doing a lot more work of getting the car down into the track and getting traction. So you add a little bit of stiffer tire, you've got to hook that car back up a little bit. So you might lower some tire pressure on the tire just to get it down into the track again, or maybe just bring the spacing in. So there's a ton of different things you can do, and you know, honestly, maybe it doesn't change the car that much, but with how tight the racing is anymore, I think everybody has to have their car on kill. So I think you'll see a lot of guys really trying to get that thing dialed in come Sunday.
Blake, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us here on Track Talk on Sports Radio 810 WHB. There's a lot of people listening to this show right now, and I can't thank you enough for doing so.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, I really look forward to this week. Hopefully we can have some really good runs. I feel more confident this year going into the Chili Bowl than I ever have. So I think this is our year. I think this is the year we can prove to people that we're a contender, not just on a preliminary night, but on Saturday too. So we look forward to being there, and you know, just thank you guys for supporting me throughout the year, and hopefully we'll see you guys down there.
We'll see you there. We'll see you there, Blake. Thank you, buddy.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
There you have it, Blake Hahn. We're going to take a break here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll be back with more. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Hour number 2, Frank Flood is going to join us in hour number 2 right here on Track Talk.
WHB Kansas City.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodandsupply.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card. And
can you guys hear me? About 13 minutes last segment.
Cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Stephen St. John here for Kansas City Credit Union. Put your money to work for you with the Great Rate CD from Kansas City Credit Union. A 5.85% APY, 13-month term with a $50,000 minimum new money deposit. Useful for saving and earning interest on money that you won't need in the near term. Along with savings accounts and money market accounts, CDs are some of the safest places to keep your money with no monthly maintenance fees. For more information, visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports and tell them SSJ sent you.
Welcome back It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. And Kirk, I'm excited to watch Blake Hahn run for that POWRi championship, and he's going to be competing against Ayrton Geniton. Man, that's going to be a nice little battle.
Ayrton is the defending champion of the POWRi 410 sprint, so it should be fun to watch that series. And you know my attitude about all this racing that's going on, Scott. We're going to be here to cover it. Here's how we're going to approach it at Racing Boys. On Mostly Motorsports every week, we're going to have representatives from both High Limit and World of Outlaws on. Connor Wade will be reporting on what's happening with the World of Outlaws, and Chase Rodman, the voice of the High Limit Series, is going to be with us every week to give us what's going on in the High Limit Series. So, you know, the way I look at it, Scott, instead of getting in a tit for tat and who's doing this and that and choosing up sides, I'm just going to sit back and watch it all and hope we see a lot of good racing.
But, Kirk, we're invested in Blake Hahn. We buy him fire suits every year.
Yeah, we'll follow.
And it seems like every time that he wears one of those Racing Boys fire suits, he wins.
Yeah, well, you know, we're Blake Hahn fans. We're not going to shy away from that. So
no.
But as far as the High Limit versus World of Outlaws, we're just just going to follow it all and hope we see a lot of good racing.
To be honest with you, the Hans have been very good to us, haven't they?
They've been great.
They've been excellent to us.
By the way, just to kind of update everybody on the High Limit roster list, we had a few people be added to the list. They've got 16 full-time drivers now. Tyler Courtney has
decided he's going to go over there.
That he's going to be a full-time High Limit driver.
But he was an all-star driver anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's no surprise. We
Yeah.
thought that that Sunshine would make his move. Tanner Thorson and Connor Morrell are two other added entries to the High Limit list. So here are the drivers that are going to be racing High Limit next year. Brad Sweet, Rico Abreu, Brent Marks, Casey Kane, Jacob Allen, Chris Wyndham, Tyler Courtney, Corey Eliason, Zeb Wise, Justin Peck, Corey Day, Spencer Baston, Brennan Crouch, Parker Price Miller, Tanner Thorson, and Connor Morrell. 11 drivers have signed up for the World of Outlaws next year. They are Donnie Schatz, David Gravel, Carson Macedo, Sheldon Hodenshield, Logan Schuart, Giovanni Celsi, Bill Baylog, Brock Zierfoss, Landon Crawley, Bill Rose, and Noah Gass. We're still waiting on what Roth Motorsports is going to do. James McFadden, Buddy Kofoid.
I expect them to put one car with the High Limit Series and one car with the World of Outlaws.
James McFadden come back, drive Roth 83 for World of Outlaws, and Buddy over at the High Limit. I don't know.
I'm not sure that Buddy's going to be their driver in the 83 Junior car. I'm not sure of that.
I don't know.
I'm not sure of that.
So, anyway, that's the breakdown. They've got 16, I'm thinking 17 full-time drivers. I'm telling you, folks, it's not going to end up at 17 at the end of the year for the High Limit Series.
There's no way it's going to end up at 17 at the end of the year because not many people want to travel to the West Coast.
Well, and the breakdown of the way everything pays out is not going to support 17 drivers to run that full series. So there's going to be some fall off at the end of the year. And you know what? That's going to be just fine. If you talk to Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson now, they'd be okay with 12 drivers.
Right.
Because the economics of it, and that's what the Outlaws will have, is probably about a dozen drivers. So each of these series will end up with about a dozen drivers apiece at the end of the year.
They're going to start off their season February 12th through the 13th, and they're going to be running down at East Bay Raceway Park.
Last season for East Bay.
Yeah.
This is it, folks. They're going to run a late model event in October down there that will be the grand finale of that racetrack. So when you tune in February at East Bay and watch all the racing going on, and maybe if you're headed to Florida, you might want to be there because next year there's going to be no East Bay Raceway. Not going to exist a year from now.
That's crazy. That track has been around for so long.
Yep.
I've been there many times.
But Volusia will be around a long time.
We did a live pay-per-view there, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
That's, about 10 years ago?
10 years ago.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. Here's the breakdown of the Chili Bowl, of some of the top names on what night they're going to be running. It looks like that it's kind of weighted towards the end of the week where you got many of the top stars starting off Monday, Tuesday, not the biggest stars. That's more towards the end of the week, but here's how it breaks down. Monday night, we got drivers like Chase Briscoe, Cannon McIntosh, Jerry Coons Jr., Chris Wyndham, and Tanner Carroll. I got that wrong. Tuesday night, we got Thomas Messerol, Chase McDermott, Kevin Thomas Jr., David Gravel, and Buddy Kofoid. Oh, yeah. Tanner Carrick is
Tanner Carrick.
Tanner Carrick, that's what I wanted to say, on Monday night.
Are you surprised?
He's a former winner on Monday night.
Are you surprised that Brent Marks is going to run full-time with the High Limit Series?
No, because if you got that charter system that they've set up for the High Limit Series, if you're a team owner, Brent Marks has been a national driver before. He's raced full-time on the World of Outlaws before. So if you put that carrot out there that if you finish in the top 5 in the charter, in the point system, you're going to get a charter for the following year, that's a pretty tempting thing for the Murray Marks Motorsports team to do. So, no, I'm not surprised that Brent Marks is going to be running full-time with the High Limit Series.
Who do you think is going to win the championship in the High Limit Series?
Brad Sweet.
Brad Sweet, no doubt. Yeah.
His series, right?
Right. And Casey Kane, do you think he'll run up there in the top 5 in points, do you think?
Is he going to run all the races? He's committed to run all the races.
Right, yeah.
But due to one circumstance or another, Casey has not run all the races that we thought he was going to run in the World of Outlaws last year. But they only got 60-some events this year, so not as much of a schedule as the World of Outlaws has. So, yeah, Casey Kane, if he runs all of the races, certainly has a chance to finish in the top 5. Can he win the championship? I don't think so. I think Rico Abreu is probably the closest challenger to Brad Sweet winning the championship.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So we'll see what it is. Getting back to the Chili Bowl. We've given you the big stars Monday and Tuesday. Here are some of the big drivers on Wednesday. 5-time winner Sammy Swindell. Kyle Cummins.
I always root for Sammy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jake Andriotti. Jonathan Beeson. You got Mitchell Moles running on Wednesday night. Corey Day, Blake Hahn, Jake Swanson, Sunshine, Tyler Courtney. You got Jade Abedishian running on Wednesday night. Brent Cruz and Dazen Pursley.
Jade Abedishian has a really good chance of making the A-Main. Would you agree with that? Yeah, she did.
Remember, she finished 3rd in her preliminary night a year ago. 2
ladies made the race last year.
Only 1 spot out of a automatic transfer into the A, and then she got in through the B. Kaylee Bryson made the A-Main. I'm going to throw a 3rd woman in that's got a chance to make the A-Main, and that's Taylor Reimer.
She's definitely got a chance.
She's got a shot.
No doubt.
All right, so Thursday night, you have Spencer Baston, Ashton Torgerson, who will have on Monday, Gavin Bichelle, Landon Crawley, J.J. Yaley, Ricky Thornton Jr. will be racing on Thursday night, Brady Bacon, Casey Schumann, C.J. Leary, Emerson Axum, Tanner Thorson, and Kaylee Bryson are some of the top drivers on Thursday. And
Brady Bacon's got a really good chance of winning as well.
A former BC 39 winner.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's not won the Golden Driller at Tulsa yet.
Is he driving the 21H car?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Here are the top stars on Friday night. Justin Grant, former winner Tim McCready, Darren Pittman, Logan Seavey, who won this race last year, Ryan Timms, and our good friend Clinton Boyles will be racing on Friday night. So
Clinton's going to be running this year. Wow.
He ran last year.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, his dad, Joe, is going to be running on Thursday night.
His dad, Joe, finished 4th
right
in the Chili Bowl Nationals one year.
Yeah.
I don't know what year that was. Do you remember what year that was?
I would have to look back, but I remember when that happened. So, anyway, that's the breakdown of who some of the stars and what nights they'll be running. The top 2 in each night's A main will get automatic transfers to Saturday night's A feature. And, of course, we got the all-day alphabet soup on Saturday. I think they started
that's
like
the
O mains or something like that.
That's a long day. As we know, of doing the Chili Bowl, that is a very long day.
Yeah, with
Saturday.
370 entries as of last count, we may be back into the do the alphabet soup backwards. We always have to learn every year how to work the alphabet soup backwards. But I'm thinking O mains on Saturday to start things off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always fun. My favorite day of the Chili Bowl is, of course, Saturday, because you start off the day in the morning.
People got to make it in on that day.
Right. And at the SageNet Center, you've got the windows where you can see the daylight all day long.
Right.
But you can just feel the excitement ramp up as the windows get darker, night falls, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Driver introductions.
Really feel it.
Driver introductions are really always good.
The opening ceremonies are awesome at the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so don't you have that same feeling, Scott, late in the afternoon on Saturday when the windows darken and you can just kind of feel it all just kind of ramp up?
Ratchet up a little bit. Yeah.
2 minutes until music.
Yeah.
So it's I'm looking forward to it, Scott. Can't wait to get down there and see all our good friends. That's the thing about the Chili Bowl. Knoxville Nationals is a lot like that, where you see people you don't see maybe more than once or twice a year.
Right.
And you walk through the trade show and the pit area, and it's a feeling you don't get other than maybe Knoxville and Eldora, where you see people that you don't see very often.
Kirk, I'm going back to Eldora this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to
go. In July?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to head out there.
For the, they don't call it, it's not the Million this year, but it's the
King's Royal.
The King's Royal, and before that, the Jackpot. They call it the Joker's Jackpot.
1 minute until
that pays $100,000 and something to win.
Yep, no doubt about it.
And that'll be on Flow, and the World of Outlaws event for the King's Royal will be on Dirt Vision.
Yeah. And hour number 2, and you can only watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Frank Flood is going to be joining us in the second hour, right, Kirk? About 9:15, right?
5 Golden Drillers for Frank Flood.
5
after last.
He's trying to run down Blake Hahn.
Yeah, trying to catch Blake's 9.
I don't know if anybody's going to catch Blake, to be honest with you.
Some old veterans winning at the Tulsa Shootout this year. That was pretty cool.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, we can't thank Bob Douglas enough for being a great supporter of the Racing Boys, right?
And Rod End Supply prominently displayed at the Chili Bowl. That big sign in the back straight away.
Yeah,
love it.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply. Hour number 2, Frank Flood is going to be joining us at 9:15, and we'll be talking to him about his win down at the shootout as well. And I want to thank Covell for doing such a good job back there at Sports Radio 810 WHB. And Todd Surprise doing a great job here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you hour number 2 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Rod End End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial
Thanks, my friend.
applications
Have a
with
good
many
week,
different
all right?
types of products. Since
All right, man,
1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Joe's Kansas City Bar.
Gotta moisturize.
As well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know, the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Todd Surprise running the show, as he always does. And my partner of over 20 years, Kirk Elliott. Kirk?
We got some racing tonight. If you're a late model fan, the Wild West Shootout opens up tonight down at Vado Speedway in New Mexico.
Is that going to be on IMCA TV?
No, it's on Flow Racing.
It's on Flow.
Yeah. So here's the schedule for the Wild West Shootout at Vado Speedway Park tonight, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They pay $11,000 to win each of the nights except the final one, and they'll pay $26,000 on the final night. And there's some bonuses that will go out if you win all of those nights, or even 5 of the 6 nights, or 4 of the 6 nights, paying out some pretty good bonus money. I was looking down through the entry list here, Scott, and I don't see as many big stars. I don't see Jonathan Davenport's name on this list. I do see Bobby Pierce is there. They had a practice session last night down there, 37 entries, according to MyRacePass.com. So some of the drivers that are down there are Garrett Albertson, Shannon Babb. I see Cade Dillard is there, Tyler Erb. I'm just running some of the top names that are there. Kyle Larson, of course, he's there. It is Mike Marlar racing. Sam Mars, the 19-year-old son of Jimmy Mars, is on the list. I think this might be his debut. Sam Mars out of Menominee, Wisconsin, will be at the Wild West Shootout. Jake O'Neill, he's a USMTS modified star. We talked about Bobby Pierce. Rodney Sanders is there. Stormy Scott. Some of the other names we see there, Jake Tim, a lot of USMTS modified stars. Drake Troutman, upstart late model star, is there. Ricky Weiss. Those are the names that I see on the list. But outside of Mike Marlar and Bobby Pierce, I don't see any huge major stars at the Wild West Shootout. But we'll see who shows up tonight. I think these are the names that were on the entry list that maybe raced in their practice. I didn't watch the practice session. If they had it on Flow, I didn't see it. But tonight they'll go at it down there. So Kyle Larson, Bobby Pierce, 2 of the guys, and Mike Marlar.
Hey,
we're looking at a little video from last night.
Are you a little disappointed that Kyle Larson isn't going to run the Chili Bowl? Are you a little disappointed on that?
No, it's fine. I've said this all along that Kyle can do whatever he wants to do. And I don't think he owes the Chili Bowl anything. He's a 3-time winner of this, or 2-time winner of this event. Christopher Bell's a 3-time winner. And those guys do not owe the Chili Bowl anything. They've done their duty down there as far as I'm concerned, and they get to do whatever they want to do, in my opinion. And if Kyle Larson wants to go down at Vado Speedway Park and race his late model for a week, I'm all for it. go for it. It's not going to change the way I look at the Chili Bowl, not having Kyle Larson there or Rico or
I think
Christopher Bell.
I think it's a little disappointing to the fans that are in the grandstands that Kyle Larson is not there, or Rico, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't feel any more disappointed than when Tony Stewart didn't race every Chili Bowl after he won 2 of them. Those guys have paid their dues as being there. They've done their thing. They've moved on to bigger and better things, and as far as I'm concerned, that's fine with me. We still see Kyle Larson on plenty of occasions out on the racetrack during the course of the year, and if he does not want to race the Chili Bowl, I'm good with that.
Right.
I focus on the drivers who are there, who will be in Tulsa, and that's who I'm going to focus on and talk about, are the drivers who are in the SageNet Center competing this week. And that's who we'll be talking about, and that's who we'll be thinking about. So that's where I stand about it. I'm not disappointed at all that Kyle Larson is not running there.
Do you think Tanner Thorson's going to win again this year?
He could.
He's fast. He's fast enough.
Are you surprised he's going to run the full high-limit winged 410 sprint cars this year? Are you? That was a little bit of a surprise that Tanner Thorson's name came up as a full-time high-limit driver this year.
I'm more set back by Brent Marks running it.
You are?
And to be honest with you, there's a lot of good guys. Parker Price Miller's going to be running it. Chris Windham, Spencer Baston, Corey Day's going to be running full-time with them as well. So,
well, a lot of that has to do with that charter system that they've set up, and they put that carrot out there that if you finish in the top 5 of the points, they're going to award you a charter. So a lot of those guys are at least going to start off the season and see how things go. Some of those 16 drivers that have fully committed to the High Limit Series, I don't think have any chance at even a top 5, but others do. But they're at least going to give it a shot and start off the season and see how far they can go with it. That's a reason to me that there's as many drivers as there are committing to the High Limit Series full-time because of that charter system they set up.
What about Justin Peck running it? What do you think about that?
I'm not surprised that he decided to run the full series. He was a full-time all-star driver a couple of years ago. He didn't race all the all-star races last year. He spent most of his time out in Pennsylvania, but he's certainly a worthy candidate to try to go for one of those top 5 spots.
And we want to remind everybody that every week on Monday, we're going to have Connor Wade on from the World of Outlaws, and we're going to have Chase Rodman on from the High Limit Series as well.
Did you see news that High Limit has announced a pit reporter? Tony Laporta is going to be the pit reporter for Flow Racing's coverage on and the grandstand of the High Limit Series. I'm repeating what you told me earlier. I missed that story.
Right.
Didn't he used to announce the USAC series a couple of years ago?
Did he?
I think so. Before Chet Query stepped in. I'm not sure who's going to be the USAC announcer after Chet Query announced that he's not going to be doing
He's not
the
going to
USAC.
be over there anymore. Yeah. What do you think? Who do you
Chet. I said Chet Query.
Chet.
Replacing Chet in the USAC series.
Who do you think is going to do that, Kirk? I think Rob Klepper would be the perfect guy to replace Chet.
Well, he did the Extreme Midget Series last year, and he's a former full-time announcer with USAC, and he stepped away in place of Chet.
Right. Well, that was I think there was a little conflict between Rob Klepper and USAC about financial-wise.
Yeah.
I think that there was a little problem there.
I said, I need to get Chet's last name right. Chet Christner.
Christner
is his last name. I said Chet Query. He's the guy that used to announce up here at Bethany and other places. I'm confusing names this morning. Chet Christner is who I was talking about, that is stepping away from being the full-time USAC announcer in 2024.
Hey, Kirk, there's a race April 9th down at Riverside International Speedway, the Ditch. Man, I'd love to see that race down there. That's a high-limit race that's going to be running down there as well. And they're going to be running at Texarkana 67. Now, listen, let me ask you this, Kirk. Do you think it is a good move that Tim Crawley has taken the 360 race or the short track nationals and made it a 410 race? What do you think about that?
I don't know. We'll wait and see. The thing that I would give
they're going to be short on cars.
The thing I would give pause to that is the date that he scheduled that event in early November is troublesome in the sense of weather and trying to get that race in. I like the idea of running the short track nationals in early October, except for this past year when it flooded the racetrack. That didn't work out so good.
Yeah.
But still, early October for that event works better than early November. Now, he had to go to early November in order to run 410s at the short track nationals, because where else are you going to be able to run a 410 event other than the week between the last weekend of the Outlaws and the World Finals? That was the only place you could slot in a 410 event and hope to get a lot of race cars. So the date, to me, is the most troublesome weather-wise of getting that thing in. There's 3 events. There's 3 times in the history of the short track nationals they've not been able to get the event in due to weather. 1992 and 2015, and then last year. And so even though it got rained out in early October, I still think that's a better date for it. And I think that you would have drawn more 360 cars for if you'd had it 360 than what they'll get for 410. We'll wait and see. But he's putting out some pretty good money for it, and we'll wait and see how it all works out for him.
A really good track on April 20th, Salina High Banks. That will be a fantastic race down there at Salina High Banks. A high limit race going on down there, and
the High Banks of
Salina
High Banks.
They're going to be running at 81 Speedway, and then on May 3rd and 4th they'll be running at Lakeside Speedway. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Big weekend at Lakeside. It's the same weekend as NASCAR's just down the road.
Is it going to pay $50,000 to win the second day?
I don't know. I don't have that pulled up right now. But yeah, it's a Friday, Saturday event.
Look what they have on their website, Kirk.
Dollars.
$100 bills.
So they're going to be throwing a lot of money at this thing. They're going to be at I-70 Motorsports Park 3 times in 2024, late. They're going to be there in early June, and then again for a midweek high-limit race in October. And then Lucas Oil Speedway, 2 nights in late June.
June 28th and 29th, they'll be at Lucas Oil Speedway.
And Lake Ozark Speedway, they'll be there too next year. The Ditch, you brought up Riverside Speedway down there at West Memphis, Arkansas. They're one of the few tracks that are going to be hosting both High Limit and World of Outlaws.
They are?
In 2024.
I can't believe that that's going to happen, to be honest with you. Can you believe that that's going to happen, Kirk?
Well, they're doing that at a couple of racetracks out in California. They've had to double up out there for both times the World of Outlaws and the High Limit are going to California.
Right.
Eldora Speedway is another racetrack they're going to double up on. And there was one other racetrack, Atomic Speedway, I think was the other racetrack out in Ohio.
Yeah. They're going to be running at Placerville. Here's where the problem lies in my eyes. They're going to be running at Thunderbolt Raceway, King Speedway, Placerville Speedway, Silver Dollar Speedway, and I think that's going to be a little tough for some of those teams to be able to pull out there? What do you think?
Well, the only thing that would help that is there are 2 $100,000 to win races in the High Limit Series out there: the Gold Cup, the Gold Cup, and the race at Skagit Speedway are each going to pay $100,000 to win, with a pretty good purse lined up for both those events. So that's going to help lure some of those guys out there. But at the same weekend, they're running that $100,000 to win race at Skagit. The World of Outlaws is running a high dollar $100,000 to win race at Houston Speedway that same weekend. So how many guys are going to travel out to run the High Limit Series versus staying at home and running the Outlaws up at Houston's?
Kirk, you want to bring in our next guest?
Let's do it. He's won his 5th Golden Driller at the Tulsa Shootout, the winner of I think the most exciting race of the night, the non-wing A-class car. Frank Flood is joining us right now. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
Hey, man, that was a thrilling victory, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't, think I had as good a shot in that as anything. I starting 9th with the talent I had in front of me. I figured I'd be fighting for a top 5, let alone winning.
When did you realize the track was coming to you?
Man, I just really about halfway. The car had never gone away from me yet, and it just I kept seeing guys' cars just get a little freer, or they couldn't hold the bottom as good. And about halfway, I really realized I had a pretty decent shot at least, putting the spurs up and getting in the mix. And like I say, let alone still to win.
Yeah. When did the top come in? Did it come in at all for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. In fact, there was the yellow where Ricky Thornton jumped up top. And under that yellow, I was talking to my crew, through hand signals saying, hey, I'm going to go to the top. And they were all freaked out and told me to stay on the bottom. And I wish I would have jumped up, but, it all worked out for the better. It just, I think that was just past halfway when it really started coming in. Then everybody jumped up, and I couldn't go where they were, so I had to stay on the bottom, and it worked out. And then it was kind of just I had to go where they weren't once I got up in the top 3.
Did you feel like you had something for Ricky Thornton Jr.? Did you feel like you had something for him?
We can all say, oh, yeah, I had it covered. But, the talent he has, I'm sure he would have pulled a few tricks out of his sleeve to make me zig when I needed to zag. But it definitely, I think, would have been a really good race. Just between Chris and Ricky there, it was going to be hard either way because both of those guys can put the car wherever they need to, no matter what position they're in.
Chris Carroll, the other driver that we were talking about that you had to contend with, both these guys are really good drivers. Just to talk about what you were thinking when Thornton's engine blew up at that time. What were the first thing went through your mind?
I got frustrated because when it did go, I kind of had already committed to run the top behind him, and when it did go, I started pulling down the hill, and he turned down the hill the same time I did, and then he pulled to the infield, so there wasn't a yellow, and I was kind of frustrated. I was like, oh my God, Chris just got away. There went any shot just because, no blame to him. He was just trying to get off the racing surface without causing a yellow, but at the same time, I was upset because I needed that yellow to catch Chris back, but thankfully the track crew realized it laid down a bunch of oil, and we had to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, no doubt. When did you feel like you ultimately we're watching right now where Ricky Thornton Jr. blew up and he pulled into the infield. When did you feel like you had your best shot to win the race?
Once Ricky, his misfortune happened. We teamed up with Hyper, and me and Matt started the F&M Performance this year. I knew that Hyper was going to really roll the bottom on the restarts, but Chris is really good on restarts, and he's really good at, like I said, putting the car wherever he needed. And I knew if I could just get my nose in front of him and start trying to control the pace, I could, outlast him in a sense. And thankfully I was able to, pull a slide job after that, a lap or two after that restart, and, kind of start trying to control things.
It got a little close there a couple times, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. After the slide job, I knew I had to protect the bottom because he was going to give it right back. And, thankfully we both have enough respect for each other to definitely push each other, but, not intentionally take each other out.
I want to talk about that. We just saw the replay of this. When you made that move on Chris Carroll there for the lead, it looked like you really surprised him because you were really right in the high side good, and when you dipped down to the bottom, he looked shocked, and why wouldn't he be at that moment?
You looked like you caught him off guard a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I knew I couldn't show him my nose. I had to, if I was going to do it, I just had to throw it and then try and control the pace from that point.
Yeah, no doubt. You've won 5 drillers, and we were just talking to Blake Hahn. He's got 9. Now you're trying to work towards getting number 9, right?
I don't want to put an end count on anything other than I'm working for the next one like it's the first one.
And I think it just needs to be pointed out how difficult this is to win. I mean, you talk about the number of entries in each of these classes. Just making the A main is quite an accomplishment, is it not?
No, that's, everybody talks about how hard the Chili Bowl is to win, in which the Chili Bowl is one of the hardest races in motorsports to win.